What if I told you that the same US banks that once laughed at Bitcoin are now quietly begging for it? Not just accepting it, not just tolerating it, but actively trying to get exposure before it is too late. Sounds crazy, right? Because for years, they called it risky, speculative, even dangerous. So what changed? Why are America's biggest financial institutions suddenly shifting their tone? And more importantly, what does this mean for your money? Welcome back to Money Finance Insights. If you want clear, no hype financial breakdowns that actually help you think smarter about money, make sure you hit like and subscribe right now, because what we are about to uncover could reshape how you see banks, Bitcoin, and the future of finance. For more than a decade, Bitcoin was treated like an outsider. Wall Street analysts dismissed it as a bubble. Bank executives warned clients to stay away. Regulators questioned its purpose. Mainstream media framed it as a playground for speculators. But fast forward to today, and something dramatic is happening behind closed doors. Major US banks are applying for crypto custody services. They are partnering with blockchain firms. They are lobbying regulators for clearer Bitcoin rules. They are asking for permission to hold and offer Bitcoin products to clients. This is not a small pivot. This is a massive strategic shift. To understand why US banks are now begging for Bitcoin, we need to go back to 2008. The global financial crisis shattered trust in the banking system. People watched massive institutions get bailed out with taxpayer money. Savings evaporated, homes were lost, confidence collapsed. In 2009, Bitcoin was born. It was designed as an alternative to the traditional banking system, a peer-to-peer digital money system. No central bank, no middleman, no bailouts. For years, banks saw Bitcoin as a threat. If people could send money without banks, that meant less control. If Bitcoin became a store of value, that meant competition with traditional assets. If decentralized finance grew, that meant disruption. So naturally, banks resisted it. Publicly, they criticized it. Privately, they studied it. Because here's something powerful about big institutions. They rarely ignore innovation completely. They may fight it first, but they always watch closely. Now fast forward to the last few years. Inflation surged across the United States. Interest rates climbed aggressively. Bank failures made headlines again. Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. Signature Bank went down. Confidence started to shake. At the same time, Bitcoin did not disappear. It survived multiple crashes. It survived regulatory pressure. It survived exchange failures. And it continued to operate without interruption. Every 10 minutes, a new block. No bailout required. No CEO to fire. No boardroom panic. That resilience caught attention. Now let's talk about institutional demand. In 2024, spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved in the United States. This was a turning point. Major asset managers launched Bitcoin funds. Billions of dollars started flowing in. Banks saw something they could not ignore anymore. Clients were asking for Bitcoin exposure. High net worth individuals wanted it. Hedge funds wanted it. Even retirement accounts wanted exposure. And when clients demand something, banks listen. Because banks make money by serving demand. If a wealthy client walks into a private bank and says, "I want Bitcoin exposure in my portfolio," the bank has two options: provide it, or lose the client to someone who will. That is not theory. That is competition. Another reason banks are shifting is custody revenue. Crypto custody means holding digital assets securely for clients. Traditional banks already provide custody for stocks and bonds. Adding Bitcoin custody is a natural extension. And custody services generate fees, stable, recurring fees. But here is the deeper reason. Banks are realizing Bitcoin is not going away. For years, many executives believed Bitcoin would fade out, that regulators would crush it, that public interest would decline. But the opposite happened. More companies added Bitcoin to their balance sheets. More countries explored crypto regulation. More payment apps integrated Bitcoin services. Younger generations embraced digital assets. Millennials and Gen Z investors grew up with smartphones. They are comfortable with digital money. They are less loyal to traditional banks. Banks see the demographic writing on the wall. If they do not adapt, they risk becoming irrelevant to the next generation of wealth. There is also the issue of liquidity and capital markets. Bitcoin has become a macro asset. It reacts to Federal Reserve policy. It moves with global liquidity cycles. It is now part of serious financial analysis. When an asset reaches that level, large institutions cannot ignore it. Some US banks are now working on tokenized assets, tokenized bonds, tokenized deposits, digital settlement systems, all inspired by blockchain technology. And here's the irony. The technology that was meant to disrupt banks is now being adopted by them. But do not mistake this shift for love. This is not emotional, it is strategic. Banks are not suddenly Bitcoin believers in the ideological sense. They are believers in revenue, survival, and competitive advantage. Another powerful driver is global competition. If US banks refuse to engage with Bitcoin, foreign banks will step in. Capital flows to where it is welcomed. Financial institutions in Europe and Asia have been building crypto frameworks. The United States does not want to fall behind in financial innovation, so regulators and banks are under pressure to find workable solutions. There's also a balance sheet perspective. Some banks are exploring limited Bitcoin exposure as a hedge, not as a replacement for cash, but as a diversification tool. In a world of expanding debt and currency concerns, a scarce digital asset becomes interesting. Bitcoin has a fixed supply. Only 21 million coins will ever exist. No central authority can print more. For institutions worried about long-term monetary policy risks, that feature matters. Now let's talk about risk management. Banks used to argue that Bitcoin was too volatile. And yes, volatility is real, but volatility alone does not disqualify an asset. Gold is volatile. Stocks are volatile. Even bonds can be volatile in certain cycles. The difference is that now banks have better infrastructure, regulated exchanges, custody solutions, risk models, compliance tools. The ecosystem matured, and maturity reduces friction. Another key reason banks are begging for Bitcoin access is client retention. Wealth management is relationship-driven. If a client feels their bank is outdated, they leave. Fintech companies offer crypto trading inside mobile apps. Brokerages provide crypto exposure. Even payment platforms integrate digital assets. Traditional banks cannot afford to look slow. There is also the profit margin factor. Traditional banking margins are under pressure. Competition is fierce. Digital banking lowers barriers. Offering Bitcoin-related products creates new fee streams, trading fees, advisory fees, custody fees, structured products. From a business perspective, it makes sense. But here's where it gets more interesting. Some banks are lobbying for clearer crypto regulations. Why? Because regulatory clarity reduces uncertainty. Banks operate in highly regulated environments. They cannot simply experiment without approval. So when you see banks pushing regulators for guidance, it is a signal. They want in. They just want the rules defined first. This is a very different tone from a few years ago. Back then, many institutions wanted tighter restrictions. Now they want workable frameworks. Let's zoom out. This is not just about Bitcoin. It is about power. Financial institutions understand that control over money equals influence. If Bitcoin grows outside their system, they lose part of that influence. By integrating Bitcoin into their services, they bring it inside the traditional framework. They earn from it, they monitor it, they manage it. In other words, they adapt rather than resist. Now you might be thinking, does this mean Bitcoin becomes fully mainstream? We are already seeing early signs. Retirement accounts, gaining Bitcoin exposure, public companies holding it, major banks researching digital asset strategies. But here's the nuance. Banks are not replacing the dollar with Bitcoin. They are not abandoning fiat currency. They are hedging their future. It is about optionality. Imagine being a large bank executive. If Bitcoin fails, you lose nothing by offering limited services. If Bitcoin succeeds massively and you ignored it, you lose market share and relevance. The risk-reward calculation is clear. Now let's address the fear angle. Some critics say banks entering Bitcoin defeats its purpose, because Bitcoin was meant to be decentralized. But decentralization does not mean isolation. Bitcoin can exist independently while institutions interact with it. Individuals can still self-custody. Institutions can offer services. Both realities can coexist. Another layer to this story is geopolitical tension. As global financial systems become more fragmented, neutral digital assets gain attention. Bitcoin is not controlled by any single country. That neutrality is attractive in a multipolar world. US banks see this conversation happening globally. They do not want to be absent from the table. Now think about the psychology shift. In 2017, Bitcoin was viewed as speculative hype. In 2021, it was volatile but intriguing. Today, it is part of institutional portfolios. That evolution changes perception. When respected financial brands engage with an asset, public confidence increases. This creates a feedback loop. More confidence brings more capital. More capital stabilizes infrastructure. Stronger infrastructure attracts more institutions. It is a cycle, and we are in the middle of it. But here's something very important for you as a viewer. Just because banks are moving toward Bitcoin does not mean you should blindly follow. Institutional interest does not eliminate risk. Markets move in cycles. There will be corrections. There will be volatility. Smart investors focus on strategy, not hype. That is why, on Money Finance Insights, we break down trends calmly and clearly. No panic, no blind excitement, just perspective. Let's talk about the long-term impact. If banks fully integrate Bitcoin services, we could see faster mainstream adoption, easier access through familiar banking apps, more regulatory clarity, improved security standards. At the same time, decentralization advocates will continue promoting self-custody. That tension will shape the next phase of crypto evolution. The key takeaway is this. When large institutions pivot, it signals structural change, not a short-term headline. Banks operate on decades-long horizons. They do not shift strategy lightly. So when you hear that US banks are now pushing for Bitcoin integration, understand the weight behind that decision. It reflects client demand, revenue opportunity, competitive pressure, technological evolution, and long-term survival planning. We are witnessing a convergence of traditional finance and digital assets. Two worlds that once stood on opposite sides are now meeting in the middle. This does not mean the system collapses tomorrow. It means the system adapts, and adaptation is powerful. Before we wrap up, I want you to think about this. What happens when the gatekeepers of money start embracing what they once rejected? What does that say about the strength of that asset? It says something changed, not just in markets, but in mindset. If you found this breakdown valuable, drop a comment below and tell me your view. Do you think banks truly believe in Bitcoin, or are they just chasing profit? Your perspective matters here. Also, share this video with someone who still thinks banks hate Bitcoin. Because the narrative is shifting fast. We are living through a financial transformation in real time, and staying informed is no longer optional. It is essential. Thank you for spending your time with Money Finance Insights. In a world full of noise, fear, and hype, choose clarity, choose critical thinking, choose long-term vision. Because the future of money is not about emotion. It is about understanding the shift before everyone else does. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.